Hi everyone, so welcome to today's tutorial. So today we're looking at um, conic sections, rather analytical geometry, and this is just an exercise which I gave in my tuition group. So let's take a look at this question. Okay, so this is the first question. So the question says find the standard form of the equation of the hyperbola that has an eccentricity of 3 over 2, the center at the origin. So when they say the center is at the origin, you just have to know to say the center is simply just 0, 0. And then the focus is 6, 0. Then f is 6, 0. So we know that the distance from the center to the focus is simply c. So far we've discovered to say our c from this hyperbola is simply just equal to, we subtract 6 minus 0. So 6 minus 0 gives us 6. So the value of c is 6. And then we know that the eccentricity that we've been given there is 3 over 2. But we know the formula for eccentricity is simply just c over a. So we can just equate this 3 over 2 to c over a. C over a is equal to 3 over 2. So while there is c, we can put 6 there. So we'll have something like 6 over a is equal to 3 over 2. So to find the value of a, we can cross multiply. So we're going to have 3a is equal to 12. So the value of a is found now by dividing by 3 on both sides. The value of a is simply just 4. So from there we can now write our equation, or we can find b. So having found a, let us now find b. We know that the formula for finding b, or the formula for finding c, is simply just c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So a squared plus b squared gives you c squared. So we have a, we also have c, so we can replace them in the equation, or we simply just make b squared the subject, so meaning we're going to have c squared minus a squared. So our b squared will therefore be equal to c squared is simply just 36 minus a squared is 16. So when you subtract the 2, you're going to have your b squared being equal to 20. Yeah. So from there we can now, let us now try to see whether this hyperbola is in the y or is in the x. Okay, so when you look at the focus is 6, 0. So this tells us to say it's, if you have the x or y plane like this, 6, 0 is going to be in the x. So if this is the focus, we expect our hyperbolas to be, one should face this side, the other one should face the other side, because the focus is always in front of this, or rather the hyperbolas face towards the focus. Okay, so if it's in the x, we know that this will be x, and then since the center is 0, 0, this would be x squared, because we don't have anything, we don't have the value of h and k, because generally we know that the equation of the hyperbola in the x is simply just x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared, which is equal to 1. So now since h and k are zeros, since the center is 0, 0, so we can just write them as, we can just write this equation as x squared over our a squared. Our a is 4, meaning a squared becomes 16. So we put 16 there, then we say minus y k is also, the value of k there is also 0, so just write it as y squared over, and then the value of b squared simply just 20 there, so we can write our 20 there, and this is equal to 1. So this is the first question. So let's quickly move on to the second question. Okay, so the second question says discuss the following conic sections. So the most important thing that you need to understand on this question is how to complete the square of these given equations. So we start with the first one. We start with a. So a is x squared. Let's pair the like terms. Okay, let me first write it the way it is. A squared plus y squared plus 6y, and then, okay, this one is supposed to have a squared, okay, plus 6y, and then this is equal to, when you multiply negative 4 times 1, we get negative 4. Negative 4 times x times negative x, we get positive x. So from there we can now say, from there we can pair the like terms. So x squared, and then when this x, positive x, comes to the other side of the equal sign, we have negative x, and then sorry, this one is supposed to be 4x, so we're going to have negative 4x, and then negative 4x, yes, and then the other one here will have positive y squared plus 6y, then is equal to negative 4. So from there we can now complete the square of this. So we write x squared, half of negative 4 is simply just negative 2. We square this, then we say minus the same thing, negative 2 squared, and then minus 4x. Then we also have y squared there, plus y squared, then half of 6y, half of positive 6, simply just 3 squared minus 3 squared, and then we have plus 6y is equal to negative 4. So we can complete the square here. So we have minus 2 there squared, then minus 4. So we forget about this. Let us also do the same there. We're going to have plus y plus 3, and then squared minus 9 is equal to, we also forget about that, is equal to negative 4. So when you take all this to the other side of the equal sign, this side will remain with x minus 2 squared, then plus, we're going to have y plus 3 squared, then when you take negative 4 to the other side of the equal sign, becomes positive 4, which cancels with that 4, meaning when you take negative 9 to the other side, you just remain with 9 this side. So when you look at this, this is a circle. This is the general formula for the circle with the center 2, negative 3. How do we find the center? So we equate this to 0. We also equate this part to 0. And then this gives us x is equal to 2, then y is equal to negative 3. So the center is simply just 2, negative 3. This is what we're going to have as the center. So after finding the center, we can now do the sketching quickly. So this will just be, let me just sketch it from there. The center is 2, negative 3, which is 2, negative 3. So which is somewhere there. Then from there, the radius you just say r squared is equal to 9. You get this part, you equate it to r squared, meaning the value of r becomes 3. When you square root both sides, you get the value of r to be 3. So we have somewhere negative 1. When you move 3 steps this side, 1, 2, 3. At negative 1, that's why you're going to have negative 1. Sorry, it's supposed to be there. So you're going to have 1 point there, and then moving 3 steps going up, 1, 2, 3. So you have some point there. There's also another 3 steps going this side, 1, 1, 2, 3. You have another point there. Then you move 3 steps going down, 1, 2, 3. have another point there. So these are the points that you just connect to come up with your circle. Alright, so this is how you do the sketching. So let's quickly move on to the next question, which is B. Okay, so part B is simply just 2y squared. Let me just put it properly. So part B is simply just 2y squared plus 3x plus 8y minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, so even this one will complete the square of that. So we're going to have something like this. You have 2y squared there, and you have plus 3x plus 8y minus 4 is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. So there we put the like terms together, and then every other thing goes to the other side of the equal sign. So the like terms we have here, we have 2y, then we also have positive 8y, 3x goes to the other side, even 4 goes to the other side, so I have 4 minus 3x. Then from there we factorize. So when factorize, we have y squared plus 4y, then this is equal to 4 minus 3x. Then from there we can now complete the square of this part. So we're going to have two open brackets, then we have y squared half of positive 4. This is simply just half of positive 4 is simply just positive 2, so we can write it there, then 2 squared, then from there we say plus 4y, then we close the brackets, we have 4 minus 3x. So this, we can complete the square of this part. We have y plus 2, then squared minus 4, then we close the brackets, is equal to 4 minus 3x. So from there we multiply through, so we're going to have 2y plus 2 squared minus 8 is equal to 4 minus 3x. Okay, so we can take this 8 to the other side of the equal sign, so we remain with 2y plus 2 squared is equal to 4 plus 8 minus 3x. Okay, so this is x, and from there we can say 2 and then y plus 2 squared. When we add the 2 we get 12 minus 3x. Then we can factorize here what is common. Make sure that this side, remember what I emphasized in the lecture, that this side, this part, if you have y or if you have x on this other side, on the right hand side, make sure that it is positive. It shouldn't have any negative in front of it. So the coefficient of x should be positive 1. Even the coefficient of y, if we had y this side, even here, this part, same applies. So here, to leave that x positive, we're going to factorize negative 3. So when we factorize negative 3, we're going to have x, and then we're going to have positive x, and then we have negative 4 there. Then we can divide by 2 so that we leave this part without any coefficient. So we're going to have y plus 2, and then is squared, and then this is equal to negative 3 over 2, then have x minus 4. Okay, so from there we can see that this is just a parabola that is in the x. It's a parabola that is in the x with the center. When you equate this part to 0, you say y plus 2 is equal to 0. The value of y becomes negative 2. Then when you equate x minus 4 to 0, the value of x becomes positive 4, meaning the center will just become 4 comma negative 2. Yeah, so this is just a parabola with the center 4 comma negative 2. And then how we sketch this parabola is simple. Okay, before we even start sketching, let us find the value of p, because we know that the general formula of a parabola is just y minus k, and then squared is equal to 4p and then x minus h. So this 4p is equivalent to what is there. So we're going to say 4p is simply just equal to negative 3 over 2 is equal to that. So to find the value of p will just be negative 3 over 8. Okay, so from there what we can do is, after finding p, we'll look at p. If it's positive, since we know that this is a parabola which will either face this side or this side, but what will determine whether it's facing this side or this other side is the sign for p. So since p is negative, meaning it will face towards the negative side. Since if p was positive, it would have faced towards the positive. Alright, so let's do the sketching first. So we can sketch. This is what we have. Our center is simply just 4 comma negative 2. 1 2 3 4 comma negative 2. So this is our center. Then we know that it's negative, meaning it will face towards the negative like that. Okay, so from there we can now find the directrix. So the directrix is usually behind the parabola, and then the focus is usually in front of the parabola. So how do you find the focus and the directrix? So to find the directrix, the line of the directrix, we're going to say x is equal to, in this case, since it's in the x, so we're going to say x. If it was in the y, would have said y is equal to. So we're going to say the center here, since it's in the x, meaning the value of y will be constant, what will be changing is simply just x. So we're going to add this 4 to that. So we're going to say 4 plus 3 over 8 to get the line of the directrix. So this is okay. To simplify this, if you want to know whether to add or subtract here, look at where it's facing. We know that the focus is always inside the parabola. So if you want to get a number that is inside here, it means that you are going to subtract for you to find the focus. If you want to get the number that is behind this side, which is positive, it means that you are going to add for you to find the directrix. So this will be x is equal to, when you add this will be 4 times 8, 32, 32 plus 3, 35 over 8. So we're going to have 35 over 8. So 35 over 8, so I'm going to draw my directrix there, which is simply just a line represented by x is equal to 35 over 8. And then the center here is just 4 comma negative 2, which is the vertex. And then to find the focus, we subtract. We're going to say the coordinates of the focus will just be 4 minus 3 over 8, and then comma negative 2. This negative 2. So when you simplify that, you will get 32 minus 3. That will give us 29 over 8, comma negative 2. So this is what we are going to have. So 28 comma negative 2, that is our focus, which is just about 3 point something. So it will be somewhere here, not even where I've drawn it. It will be somewhere there. That is our focus. Alright, so this is how you deal with the parabola. Let us take a look at the next question. Okay, so the next question is this one here. So let's do it quickly. Okay, so this is C. So C is simply 4y squared minus 36 is equal to 9x squared. So the way you deal with this one, you just simply take this to the other side of the equal sign, then negative 36 comes this side. So we'll have 4y squared minus 9x squared is equal to 36. So remember what I said, when you're dealing with coordinate geometry or any geometry that you've been given, make sure that the value of y and the value of x has no coefficient. So how do we do that? Let's try to divide. We know that 4 can go into 36 and 9 can go into 36. So let's divide everything by 36. So 1 into 4, 4 into 4, that will just give us 1. Then 4 into 36, that's 9. Minus, so this will be 9 into 9, that is 1, so we write it like that. 9 into 36, that will give us 4 is equal to 1. So from there, we can now identify our A and our B. So according to this equation here, we can know to say, we are able to tell that this is the equation of the hyperbola with the center 0, 0. So the center is simply just 0, 0, because we don't have the value of h and k. And then we can identify the value of a and b. So a squared is simply just 9, meaning the value of a is 3. Then b squared, for the hyperbola, the first term here is the one that has a, and then the second term is the one that you get for b. So b squared is equal to 4, meaning the b is just 2. So to find the value of c, we know that c squared for the hyperbola is given by a squared plus b squared. So c squared is equal to a squared is 9 plus b squared is 4. So our c squared is simply just 13, meaning the value of c is simply the root of 13. So from there, let us now okay. So from there, let us now go direct to sketching. There's nothing that we have left, I think so. I think the only thing that we have left here is the only thing that we have left on this question is the equations of the asymptotes. So how do you find the equations of the asymptotes? You simply just get y squared. You simply get the whole equation and then equate it to 0. So this is what you are going to have. Then we'll take this to the other side of the equal sign. Then we'll have x squared over 4. And then from there, we cross multiply. So we're going to have 4y squared is equal to 9x squared. We divide everything by 4. So we're trying to make y the subject of the formula. So from there we can simply just say y is equal to the square root of y gives us y, the square root of this part, the square root of 9 is 3, square root of 4 is 2, square root of x squared simply just x. But remember, this always moves with plus or minus, so expect to have a plus or minus there. So let us now just do the sketching first. So we have the xy plane there, then you have 0 there. Then we can, the value of a that we found was 3, so we have to identify, is this in the y or in the x? Y is the one that is leading there, so meaning we know that it's in the y. So we're going to move 3 steps in the y, because that's where our a is, 1 2 3. And then we'll move 2 steps in the x, because that's where our a is. It's under x, 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. So this is what we're going to have. So I've even missed the point. This is what 2 is supposed to be, and 3 is supposed to be there. So you also draw your asymptotes. So you draw your asymptotes. They're supposed to pass on the center. Okay. And then you also draw another asymptote from this side. It's also supposed to pass on the center. Then from there, we know that this is our vertex, and then our second vertex is there. V1 is there, and then V2 is also there. So the focus is just found by, okay, let us first sketch. So we'll do our sketching, because we know that this is in the y, because y is the one that is leading. So we can do our sketching there. Then after sketching, the focus will be there, somewhere there. So the focus, you just add the center to the value of c to find the focus. So the center is simply 0, 0. So this 0 in the y plus root 13 will get 0, root 13 there as one of our focus, and then the other focus will just be this side, which will be 0, negative root 0, negative root 13. This is our f2. Yeah, and then our v1 of course will be 0, 3 and 0, negative 3 as our v2. Yeah, I think the other thing you just need to do when describing this conic section, this one also has the eccentricity, which is just given by c over a. So e is equal to, our c is the root of 13, and then our a is simply just 3. So this is our eccentricity. Let us look at the last question, then that's all for today. Okay. So the last question is D. Let us look at D, which is just y squared over 2 minus 4x minus 2y is equal to 2. So we can multiply the whole equation by 2 because we want to get rid of these 2. So the first one, we multiply this part by 2, just remain with that. 2 times this 2 will just cancel with that 2. And then 2 times negative 4, this will give us negative 8x. 2 times negative 2, this is negative 4y. Then 2 times 2 there gives us 4. So we can now complete the square of this. So when you complete the square of this, first let us pair the like terms. We have y squared minus 4y minus 8x is equal to 4. So we can take this 8x to the other side of the equal sign. So this would be y squared minus 4y is equal to 8x plus 4. So we can factorize 4. Yeah, we can factorize 4. Yeah, we can factorize 4. So before we do the factorization, let us first complete the square of this part. So we're going to have y squared, and then half of negative 4, simply just negative 2. Then we square that. Then minus negative 2 also squared. Then minus 4y. Minus 4y is equal to 8x plus 4. So there we can now complete the square of this part, which is y minus 2 squared. Then we have minus 4 there is equal to 8x plus 4. So when you take this other 4 to the other side of the equal sign, we're going to have y minus 2 squared is equal to, this will be 4 plus 4. Okay, let me start with 8x. Okay, so 8x, and then we have positive 4 there, another positive 4, which is this one when it crosses the equal sign. So we're going to have y minus 2 squared is equal to, then 8x plus 8. So we can factorize now from there. So when we do the factorization, let me just write it properly here. So when you do the factorization here, we're going to have y minus 2 squared is equal to 8, and then you have x plus 1. So the center here, when you equate this part to 0, you get y is equal to 2. And then when you equate 8x plus 1 to 0, x plus 1 to 0, you get x is equal to negative 1. Meaning the center will just be negative 1, comma 2. That is our center. Then this is a parabola that is in the x, and then if you want to know where it's facing, you simply just get this part, equate it to 4p. So the value of p will simply just be equal to, when you divide both sides by 4, this will give us 2. So p is equal to 2. So now since p is positive, meaning we expect it to face this side. So let us now sketch this. So we'll have something like this, and then our center is simply just negative 1, 2. This is our center here. Our center is simply just negative 1, 2. So negative 1, 2. And then it's facing this side, so it will be something like this. Then how do you find the focus and the directrix? So the focus is simply found by we're going to find the focus by adding 2 to the center. Our center is negative 1, 2. So which is this one, the vertex is negative 1, 2. So since we know that it's in the x, meaning the value of y will be taken to be constant throughout the axis of symmetry, this one. So this axis of symmetry is simply just y is equal to 2. And then along this line, the value of y is constant, but the value of x is changing. So if we want to find the focus, because we know that the focus lies in this same line, so we're going to add 2 to the value of x. So when you add 2 to the value of x in the center there, we say 2 plus negative 1, we're going to have so the what is the coordinates of the focus. We add 2 plus negative 1, we get positive 1, comma the same value of y there. So positive 1, 2 is simply just somewhere there, positive 1, 2. So this is going to be our focus, which is 1, 2. And then let us find the directrix. So we're going to subtract negative 2 minus 2. Negative 2 minus 2 gives us, so the coordinates of the directrix will just be x is equal to negative 2 minus 2 is simply just negative 3, which is negative 2, negative 3. So we're going to have something like this. So x is equal to negative 3. This is the coordinates of the directrix. Sorry, the line of the directrix. So we are done. I don't know if there's something that I've left out, but I think this is all for the exercise. So thank you very much for watching the tutorial. See you next time in the next tutorial, and make sure that you click on the button that says subscribe down there if you have not yet subscribed to the channel. See you in the next tutorial video.